The Time Traveler's Wife blends science fiction, romance, fantasy, and drama. Be safe and vigilant. In the 1970s, Henri de Table's mother, Annette, sang to him while driving. A truck loses control on Christmas Eve and hits their car, sending them off the road. Henri is confused as he dissolves into nothingness. Annette was confused by it. By chance, Henri travels 2 weeks back to find his shocked parents reading a book to him. Henri is transported back in time to witness their car crash and ends up barefoot on the road when he closes his eyes. An adult man impersonating Henri approaches him. Older Henri comforts his younger self and suggests time travel. His past self vanishes and he works at the library. His time travel is most strange because he gets undressed in strange places. Claire Absher recognizes Henri the next day at the library. He has no idea why she is astonished by him. Claire says Henri warned her, but he doesn't know. Instead, she suggests having dinner at a nearby restaurant so she can brief him while he prepares for their meeting. Henri fades again in a dark alley. Currently, he lives. He steals clothes and picks locks to survive. Unfortunately, a police officer approaches him for trespassing. However, when Henri gets in the car, the authorities are surprised to see him disappear. Claire tells Henri she's known him for years when they meet at the restaurant. Each time Henri visits, she writes a diary entry. Henri returns to gravity after major life events. He frequents it because of that. Claire calls him her best friend because he always helps her fall asleep. After arriving at Henri's, they kiss passionately. Claire first met Henri in the meadow near her parents' house that night. After meeting naked in the woods, she gave an older Henri a blanket to hide under at 6. Henri promises young Claire they will be friends and reveals he is a time traveler. Young girl is skeptical before his return. Henri asks the girl to bring him clothes since he will return on Tuesday. Claire remains skeptical until she sees him disappear. Claire likes Henri, but when she finds lipstick in his medicine, she doubts their relationship. Since childhood, she had only known Henri as an older, more experienced man. 20-something Henri isn't perfect. Henri tells her he's improving and making progress. Growing closer to Claire. She shows Henri her best friend's cherries one night, along with romantically involved Gomez. A few days later, Gomez intervenes to stop a street brawl, discovers Henri is dressed as a woman, and explains that he fought because the other man was discriminatory. Gomez, confused, confronts Henri about the street brawl. As Henri reveals he is a time traveler, Gomez remains confused. Gomez is speechless as Henri vanishes into thin air and begins to believe in his ability to travel through time as a friend. Gomez tells Claire Henri makes him nervous. He claims it won't help her. However, she claims that she has waited her whole life for him. Henri is on a train with his mother before she dies. When he mentions Annette singing, his heart aches and he wants his girlfriend to hear her. While chatting, Annette mentions that she has a son named Henri. Henri tells Annette her son loves her before he gets off the train. "I know," she replies. Coming back to reality. Henri visits Father Richard, who is withdrawing, to check on him. Richard's alcoholism and declining health prevent him from playing violin. Annette and Henri fight over her engagement ring. The father and son are still grieving Annette's tragic death. Richard gives his son the ring before leaving. Repairing their fragile relationship? Sitting by Claire's bed the next day, Henri considers a proposal opener. He casually proposes to Claire by sliding his mother's ring on her finger. She responds with a lovely yes. Later, they prepare for the wedding at the observer's mansion. The Claire family, including her hunter father. Claire's dad invites Henri hunting to bond, and Henri gladly accepts. Henri unexpectedly sees Richard before the ceremony. As he prepares, he rushes to hug his father. Henri's best man, Gomez, notes that the groom has disappeared since Henri has no control over his whereabouts during preparations. Gomez panics as guests wait outside. They are fleeing in panic due to a dire situation. Unexpectedly, an older Henri arrives and quickly puts on the tux. He watches Claire gracefully walk down the aisle and gazes longingly at the altar. She is surprised to see a future Henri with grey hair, but they laugh it off at the wedding reception. Modern Henri arrives at the ballet studio just in time for their first dance. Claire marvels at him as they dance for their loved ones on stage. For their own special celebration, the newlyweds hop on the bed. Henri disappears, leaving Claire in the room on her honeymoon. Henri arrives at the meadow to find Claire's clothes. Claire, picnicking in the field, offers him a sandwich. Claire is angry because she asked him about his marriage after he confirms it. Henri doesn't reveal how they hook up. Henri hugs Claire in bed and makes fun of her for being envious of her as a child. After moving into their new apartment, Claire and Henri experience married life. Henri's time travel strains their happy marriage. He sometimes accidentally disappears for days or weeks without telling Claire. He cannot change the situation. Claire becomes increasingly angry, but she still marries him voluntarily. Her loneliness without Henri during the holidays caused them to fight. He skipped Christmas and New Year's. She then claims her new art show is causing her anxiety before work. That night outside the art studio, Henri takes Claire TV shopping. After learning which numbers will be called, Henri gives Claire a ticket with the numbers he has memorized as they watch the lottery. $5 million is incredible. My condition has many drawbacks, but Henri says this is not one of them. Claire could paint in a large house with enough money. A pregnant tourist arrives for dinner while Gomez cooks. They are shocked by the living room sounds as they investigate. When they find him, Henri is gasping for air, bleeding and near death. Henri disappears despite his severe wounds. They're all stunned. The modern Henri vanishes. Claire and Henri discuss their observations. He seems uninterested, claiming to be unaware of his mortality. She worries because she has never seen an elderly Henri on his time travels. It may be his death, but he's optimistic about finding a cure. Before ending their conversation, Henri is speechless and in tears when Claire announces her pregnancy at a nearby restaurant. Claire is startled by a stomach tingle and blood gushing out in an instant. After another pain, they take her to the hospital. Claire tells Henri they lost the baby and that she thinks it left her womb. Henri consults geneticist Dr. Kendrick for illness answers. Doctors scan him. They can't finish Henri because time travels again. Finally, Dr. Kendrick, Claire, and Henri discuss the results. Henri's chromosomal mutation causes his travels, so his children may have it too. The doctor prescribed medication to regulate brain and body functions to prevent it. The next morning, Henri finds blood on their bed. After waking Claire, he tells her she had another miscarriage. Loss is causing their relationship to fight more. All Claire wants is to be a mom. Henri's condition prevents her from becoming one. This is Henri's last straw. He's tired of his wife's miscarriages. This prompts a vasectomy. His wife is unaware of the procedure. After the operation, time transports him to the meadow. Claire, 18 and concerned about his demeanor, approaches him. Henri regrets forcing her to do something she dislikes. Claire the younger becomes overbearing. Henri kisses her heart, upsetting her because no first kiss feels special. A tender kiss on her lips brings Henri back to reality. He knows how his vasectomy discussion will end when he gets home. He musters the courage to tell Claire, shocking her. Henri hopes his child will avoid his risks and uncertainties, including time travel without warning. Claire cries uncontrollably when she realizes what happened. She struggles to accept that she and Henri will never have children. After their fight, the couple sleeps apart that night. Claire is then called by a young boy named Henri for parking garage help. Claire informs him of her grievances with his future self at the vehicle. A private moment ensues. They were home. When Henri finds out, Claire tells him she did not cheat on him in their marriage because he is still there. She also announces her pregnancy again, but she doesn't get excited to avoid pain. The couple learns they're having a daughter at their ultrasound. The doctor says the baby is fine. Being her longest pregnancy, Claire decides to name her child. However, time travels when naming their daughter Henry. In a zoo glass cage, he is naked and watched by curious onlookers. His daughter calls out, "Daddy," as he leaves. So he spins to watch her approach. She holds Henry's arm and introduces herself as 10-year-old Albert, missing him. Henry is shocked by Claire's successful pregnancy. While walking, Albert tells Henry that she can travel through time and control it. She breaks his heart by losing her father at 5. When Albert's teacher calls her inside, they part ways. Claire has a healthy daughter now. She raises her in a loving, funny home with her family. As Albert turned 5, Henry felt uneasy about his future conversation with her. He worries about the party and his own mortality. She tells her younger self that Henry's days are numbered while playing with an older Albert who visits her. Albert's gloomy return to the house worries Claire. She overhears her daughter and Henry talking like something is wrong, disturbing Albert, keeping her awake. Albert had to tell her mother that Henry was dying because he couldn't keep it a secret. Claire accepts and tells Henry this harsh reality while he is consoled. The next day, Henry time travels with hypothermia. Urgently rushed to the hospital, he is screaming in pain. Claire tells Dr. Henry she fears he will die on his travels if he cannot flee. Albert visits Henry after he becomes wheelchair-bound to advise him on mobility. She says she sings to herself when she's about to faint. Henry joins her for practice, looking ready. However, his disappearance has no effect. After waking up in the snow, Henry sees a terrible scene in their house and learns he will die on New Year's Eve. Henry spends the holidays with his family after some time. Since his wife and daughter are his greatest treasures, he cherishes every moment with them. Claire and Henry host a New Year's Eve party for their family. Henry leaves Gomez and thanks him for their friendship before talking to Claire outside. She gets the creeps knowing Henry will die soon. Before the fireworks, they spend one last moment together at midnight. Henry disappears, leaving Claire to face the night's chill. Henry wakes up in the icy woods next to the field. He sees a deer next to him in the early morning. It flees at an unexplained voice. Henry leaves the woods as a gunshot hits him. Claire's father and brother hunt. They reach Henry's bloody body, thinking they shot a deer. In the present, the father and son are unaware they accidentally shot Claire's husband. Henry, bleeding and gasping, attends the celebration. Claire Albert and the other guests rush to him as he dies, and he reluctantly accepts it. Henry declares his love for Claire. Claire still mourns Henry after all this time. Albert goes to bed to comfort her mother. Later, 9-year-old Albert plays with Gomez and Teresa's kids in the meadow. She was surprised. Henry greets her from the forest with a warm embrace. The other kids rush home after calling Claire, while Henry tells Albert how he met her mother. Without delay, Claire rushes to the field and embraces Henry. Henry didn't mention returning to the meadow, so she questions him. He replies that she shouldn't waste her life waiting. After their passionate kiss, Henry leaves her feeling lost. Claire and Albert leave the meadow quietly after gathering his belongings. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on and leave notifications to help the channel. Thanks for your time.